Hello viewers, this is Demystifying the Budget episode 4. In this episode, we delve into the question, who are the winners and the losers in this budget?
And I saw in that budget education was the winner, number one. But what we are asking, is education really free? When we are talking about free primary education, what component does the government cover?
Our experts give us an insight into the correct way to look into the question.
Agriculture is also a winner. But who is winning? Is it the mwananchi, is it the farmer, or is it the government?
So we believe that we should tell our story as NGA. How should we look at a budget? A budget should be looked from the point of view of household rather than political one, because these guys who are political, the office of president has more allocation, state house more allocation. We have more allocation even to the spokesperson for the president to run around the country to tell people that there is no money in government. How do you spend 34 billion shillings to travel around to tell us there is no money?
And finally, give us the answers according to the criteria.
So I want to say that now the winner is the government and the loser is the common mwananchi.
Catch all that on this episode of Demystifying the Budget, brought to you by NGA.
So speaking about that, so who are the winners and losers of this budget as of now?
Yeah, for me, I will say number one, if you look at the budget, it's a 4.2 trillion budget, and it has been growing. If you look at the budget 2020-2021, we are coming from a budget of 2.9 trillion, and you know that time we had COVID. So it is actually an economic stimulus budget that currently we are looking at the requirements of 2025-2026, and I saw in that budget education was the winner, number one. But what we are asking, is education really free? When we are talking about free primary education, what component does the government cover? What component does the parent or the guardian of the student cover? If we are talking about free secondary education, what components are covered? Is this the entire education that is free, or we are talking about a subsidy? And if you are talking about a subsidy, what is the government doing about it? When we are talking about tertiary education, is it free? Actually, these components should be evaluated very well so that the mwananchi can really understand, because the pain goes back to the common mwananchi, because you find parents are struggling with the issues of school fees. If we talk about free primary education, and that is what the late President Mwai Kibaki tried to solve, and you realize that that budget on education was able to cover the students. Even the bursaries were given effectively. So those who are needy were able to get the bursaries, and students were able to learn. And now when you're talking about free secondary education, you find that it is not really free. It's a component of the education. When you talk about the tertiary, you've seen a lot of universities are closing down. You've seen Moi University has closed its gates. You have looked at Tuk Technical University of Kenya. They have a very huge debt. Currently, they are actually almost collapsing. And that is the case even for this big university, University of Nairobi, where we went to school. And you find that this is a major problem. So when you are giving that budget for 2025-2026, is it to help the student learn, or is it to bridge the gap or to pay the debt so that now we can resuscitate those tertiary institutions? When you go back and look at issues to do with agriculture, agriculture is also a winner. But who is winning? Is it the mwananchi, is it the farmer, or is it the government? If you look at the current budget, Galana Kulalu has been allocated 12.5 billion Kenya shillings. And you know Galana Kulalu is a project that was initiated by the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. And that agricultural project consumes more money than it actually yields. If you look at the model that they are using, they are actually pumping water through diesel. And you know that diesel is very expensive. So they are buying diesel to cultivate the land, and the produce is very low. So they are actually proposing to do a PPP project through Galana Kulalu. That's just one of the examples. And you find that the one who will benefit more is not the farmer, it is the owner of the PPP or the foreign investor and the government, those big officials in government. So we find that the fertilizer subsidy has gone down. You have to from 14 billion to 8 billion. So you find that now the fertilizer will go up. The price of the fertilizer will go up. It will be unreachable for the farmer. So that means production of some common goods and services, for instance, those, for example, cabbage, for example, carrot, etc. It will be expensive even for the consumer. So if the fertilizer is expensive, it means that the production of that agricultural produce will be expensive even for the consumer. So that you find it's a ripple effect. It's actually called a spiderweb economic. If it affects the common mwananchi, it affects government in terms of now raising even the taxes that we are talking about in this budget, 2025-2026. And you've seen the deficit is big. The deficit is at 876 billion. How are we going to bridge the gap? And the economic is not favorable for the common mwananchi to even raise the taxation for the government to recover the funds. So I want to say that now the winner is the government and the loser is the common mwananchi.
Okay. And so what are the contentious issues in the Finance Bill 2025 now?
Before we go to the contentious issues, there's a way I would like us to look at this story of the winners and the losers in the economy, picking from where my brother Dr. Ben has put it. Normally, the government wants us to believe that one ministry is winning, another ministry is losing, which means the war is between different ministries, interministerial competition, or different departments. But the truth of the matter is that's not how budget should ever be seen. Because ministries don't buy from each other as such, because ministries all are in government. So you cannot say that you have 3 sons at home, and as a father, the one is winning, one is losing, because all of them are your children. So whichever the way you look at it, when one gains, you get. When one wins, you get. I remember when I used to be in primary school with my younger brother, or my elder brother actually, when we used to be in different school, we are playing football against each other. So either my team will win or his team will win. My mother will celebrate either way, so it does not matter. So the winners and losers in the economy should look at from the point of view of economic strata. There's what you call the government, and you can actually call them politicians. And then you put another segment called the business community, which is the private sector, the corporate Kenya. And then the third one is called the consumer, which is now the general public. So if you look at the current budget, the recurrent expenditure which is going to the top government is 1.79 trillion. If you just multiply that as a percentage of the total budget, which is 4.2 trillion, it means 42.6% of the budget is going to recurrent expenditure just to ensure these politicians are happy, MPs, salaries for the government, 42.6%. Now, do we want to discuss who is winner or loser? First of all, it means the guy who has the lion's share. And then secondly, even it makes this budget unconstitutional because the constitution requires that recurrent expenditure should not be more than 30% of the revenue. So this one we are seeing that they are 42.6%, so they have the lion's share. But going back to the same issue of the government, the corporate Kenya, the businesses, and the citizens, there is a lot of extra taxation increased on the goods that is going to make consumers consume high-priced products, which means households will suffer. So when households are suffering, they have no disposable income to spend on businesses. So if you're a businesswoman or a businessman, when you set up a business, who will buy from you? You'll find that it's difficult for you to make enough revenue just because the businesses are suffering because the consumer do not have disposable income to put on different goods and services. At the same time, the government is putting a lot of taxes on businesses. When you put a lot of taxes on businesses, businesses will transfer these taxes to the end consumer. So again, it means that the end consumer is also going to have high prices, and therefore they may not consume some products. For example, let's talk about the alcohol industry. The taxation for the beer has gone up. The fact that the taxation of beer has gone up, what will happen is that some Kenyans who used to drink beer will not afford beer. So they'll start now drinking illicit brews like Changa, Bosa, Muratina, among others. And they could drink even some of them call Yokozuna, some of them call Elephant, some of them call Giraffe, whatever name they have. And it's going to be dangerous for them because some of them will lose their sight, some of them will die, some will lose fertility, because those alcohol actually are illicit as it's called. Of course, some people prepare good alcohol. I don't want to say all illicit brews are bad, but I'm trying to say now there is no regulation, therefore it will really suffer. So for that matter, the businesses that collect revenue from alcohol will have less revenue. They'll be less profitable. And Kenyans will not have disposable income to spend on other products. Then of course in the end, like you talk about the spider wave, the government will end up collecting less taxes from alcohol because the Kenyans who used to give them taxes from alcohol will now start putting that money on non-taxable alcohol, because Changa no one really takes taxes from Changa. So that's another thing to look at, winners and losers. And you have to know that the government is the one who owns the media. Actually, if not, they control the media. So they tell the media the story they want to hear. So we believe that we should tell our story as NGA. How should we look at a budget? A budget should be looked from the point of view of household expenditure, household, let's say, benefits, rather than political one. Because these guys who are political, the office of president has more allocation, state house more allocation. We have more allocation even to the spokesperson for the president to run around the country to tell people that there is no money in government. How do you spend 34 billion shillings to travel around to tell us there is no money? Why don't you just take that money and at least bring development with it? So we are having people who are very insensitive, people who don't care. You know, 34 billion shillings can build 34 level 5 hospitals in the country. So you can just go to Mandera, put one, Wajir, put one, Isiolo, put one, level 4. Or 34 billion shillings can supply drugs for essential diseases like arthritis, ulcers, diabetes, pressure, for 1 year in Kenya is enough. 34 billion can also employ all the intern doctors. It can do a lot of things. It can employ even and pay salaries for the community health volunteers. So it can cost a lot of things. The other way I wanted you to see also these winners and losers is that you must understand the budget is the larger document. The finance bill is a chapter in the budget. With that understanding, you cannot not talk about finance bill, how it is making the business community lose. If you look at the budget, the finance bill, it is 137 pages. Now, out of the 137 pages, 130 pages are the main page, are the main document. Each page, each of the 130 pages, there is 6 statements delete per page. So 6 delete per page, if you multiply by 130, that's 780 delete phrases. So delete this, replace with this, delete. So that is 780 deletes in a document. If you have a book that tells your life story, and I delete 780 pages, is this still telling your story? So it means it has been done that to favor how the government want to take money from us. And then there's something very serious about this delete. Schedule 3. Schedule 3 is where we have most of the zero-rated taxes. Where you say this one is zero-rated, that is zero-rated. So zero-rating taxes should be understood differently from what's called exempt, tax exempt and zero-rated. And this is where the problem, the biggest loss is. By Uhuru Kenyatta, after COVID introducing zero-rated taxes, taxes went down, the economy recovered. William Ruto now has zero-rated taxes. What does that mean? Zero-rating taxing means that the government will not allow you to incur any taxes on finished product when consumers are consuming it. But exempting taxes mean that even though the government will not be able to charge you taxes for the produce that you consume, the producer who is producing those goods normally incur other taxes. For example, let's say you want to produce eggs. You buy inputs, for example, chicken feeds, and chicken feeds are taxable, but the egg is zero rated. You get me? So if chicken feeds are taxable, the person producing eggs will incur cost of produce of the eggs, and that he cannot charge that VAT on the egg. So the VAT on the input for the egg, he has to pay himself. Do you know what he'll do? He will add the price, because no one normally makes losses. He will add the cost of the taxes of the input on the egg. So the egg will not have VAT, but the egg will be more expensive than if there is no exemption. So in short, these people have come up with a very, very dangerous ways of taxing Kenyans, just using language which are legal languages or accounting languages that Kenyans generally don't understand. How many Kenyans do accounting? Let's just take it for example. How many Kenyans get E in maths or D? There are very many. In fact, many Kenyans fear maths even, isn't it? So if we use accounting terms, how many of them are accountants? No, tell me. How many Kenyans, if you tell them, go to do accounting in Strathmore, go do accounting in KC, they'll tell you, wacha, you mean nataka kufanya media, mi nataka kufanya history, me I want to do government, me I want to do marketing, because accounting is not easy, isn't it? So now, how can you use accounting terms in a document where you want public participation of the general mwananchi? It is unfair. That's why I want to finish by saying, that's why I like Moi for one reason. Moi never used to read budget. Moi used to read what is called price lists. Moi was going to tell you, mayai will be 2 bob, milk will be 1 shilling, groundnuts will be 3 bob. Moi never told you that I'm exempting, I'm deleting this one. Moi never deleted anything. He never substituted anything. He just told you, hii ndio bei ya unga. So the problem I'm seeing with this one is where you come out with very many accounting languages and you don't tell people the actual implications of this finance bill and the budget, and you let Kenyans to suffer because of ignorance. And the Bible says, my people suffer because of ignorance. And that's why as NGA, we will always tell you when they cheat you. We'll tell you when they want to mislead you. We'll tell you when they are hiding for you. And we'll tell you when they are stealing from you in a way you should not know. I think that's what I can say about the issue of winners and losers.